of day, never, never to know how I loved you. If I love you.
Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining us again to a wonderful podcast with a wonderful guest that we have today. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the pleasure welcoming a truly multifaceted artist to our show. She was born in Vienna, Austria. Samantha LaCroix began her journey in the arts with dance and piano studies at a young age. Her artistic pursuits expanded in Toronto, Canada, which is where I'm from, and where she added a dramatic and operatic training to her impressive repertoire. Samantha holds a master's degree in piano performance from TCU in Fort Worth, Texas, and continued her private opera studies with Lili Chookasian at the Yale School of Music.
Mhm.
Her career has been diverse and dynamic, including touring the Northeast with the Magic Lantern Theater Company, taking classes with the American Academy for Dramatic Arts and the Broadway Teachers Workshops, and participating in local theater and improv productions in Florida. Since relocating to Atlanta in 2020, Samantha has taken on several leading and supporting roles in independent features, shorts, pilots, and web series. Some of her notable works include Hail Mary 2023, The Secret Life of Amy Benson, Butterfly Dust, Pepperonia, you make me hungry there. No, it's actually called Pepperonio, not Pepperonia making me hungry. Um, one called When Love Calls, The Paperboy, and she plays Valentina in an episode called The Deadly Silence from Fatal Attraction. In addition to her acting career, Miss Samantha's worked as a stand-in and PA on many union sets, represented by Barbara Garvey from East Coast Talent. She is making her directorial debut with the full-length feature film No Stone Left Unturned. We're going to talk about that. And currently, it's in post-production. Samantha is also a talented songwriter and is recording new music, which you would not believe. It's incredible with her song "You Left Me." Oh my goodness! Wow! And in her spare time, she enjoys spending time with her children and pets, reading, writing, and creating. Okay, that's it. We're done. See ya. No. Welcome to the show, Samantha. How are you? It's a pleasure to meet you. I love to discuss your singing and talk about your vocal range and how awesome that was. Your videos are fantastic.
Thank
So,
you.
thank you for joining us on the show today.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to
You're
be here.
very welcome, Samantha. Excellent. So, can I ask you, how did your operatic training influence your approach to singing and songwriting? Go back to the beginning where you just had a desire that I want to be a singer. I want to be in the films. I want to be an actress. Like, come on, your mother must have said, choose one.
Yeah, it's hard. Okay, so my mother's a concert pianist, so that's where the piano came from. So when I was a little girl, I used to play at her feet while she would get ready for her concerts. So the
Wow.
piano was a natural thing, it just kind of happened, and that's why I have the master's in it because it was just the thing to do. And I used to play competitions and all that stuff. And it was fun, but it was really lonely. The piano is a very lonely place. It's beautiful because you're communing with the music, but you're not
Mhm.
collaborating except with a teacher. So at the same time, I did ballet, like you said, and I really loved that. But then I hurt myself when I was about 18. I got some knee injuries and stuff like that. So that was never good. And I don't have the right body type for that kind of dance. So in between, I don't know, acting was always there. Like when I was a little girl, me and my dad used to do radio shows, and we used to. I mean, we never recorded anything. Well, we did. With the recorder, the old cassette recorder, and we would sit there and we make up shows and we talk about the weather and we do skits, and I think at an early age, I just kind of started doing all of it, and I would sing in between. And um, so the singing, I guess I really got bitten by the singing bug when I moved to Toronto. So because I went to Cawthor Park, which is near you, the School for the Performing Arts, and I actually entered as a piano major, because even then the piano was a thing. But then I saw all these singers, and I was like, I want to do that. So then I switched my major while I was there, and that's when I really got into singing, and I sang with the jazz choir and the concert choir and the chamber choir and did all the musicals. And I was like, oh my God, I love to sing. So then, but it still had a backseat to the piano. So I did my degree in piano. But then during my master's, I still did singing kind of, and I had to do juries for professors. So this professor pulled me aside and he said, you should be an opera singer. And I was like, yeah, whatever. And he was like, no, 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 you should be an opera singer. So then he started giving me lessons practically for free. And he trained my operatic voice because it was always really big and heavy, and I didn't know how to make it move, you know? So he was definitely the best teacher I ever had, I would say. He's now deceased. I love him to death. Dr. Raymond Bazemore. But and then so then I graduated with my master's, and so the last year I also did a lot of opera. So I entered the opera program with him, and so I started doing opera performances, and I'm like, you get to look at the audience, you get to interact with other people. This is so cool. So that's when I then started studying with Lili Chookasian at Yale when we moved to Connecticut, and that's where the singing really became important to me. But then life happens, and I don't want to go into why, but I just kind of stopped singing and stopped doing a lot of things for a long time. Um, and just started teaching and being a mom and being a wife. And then in 2019, I got a divorce. And then in 2020, I moved to Atlanta. And at that point, I decided I'm going to choose. I was like, I have to choose. I love all this stuff. I do too much. And so, and during that teaching time, I was a music teacher, and then I was a theater teacher. And that's when I started developing my songwriting, because I wrote an original musical for my students. Wow. But it turned out really great. So then I tried to pitch it to New York and even had some talks with people there. And but then I did Pepperonia in 2019, and I was like, film is where it's at. So I moved to Atlanta for film. But then, as life happens, the music snuck back in. I got in with some musicians and sync musicians, and my daughter sings. She's really passionate about singing. Wow. And I was trying to help her. And then she was in the recording studio. I'm like, I'm jealous. She got to record and I don't. So I was like, can I lay down a track? And then before you knew it, we were both recording. And wow. Yeah. So long answer to a short question.
That's awesome. So you figured out what your vocal range is? Are you a mezzo-soprano, soprano, contralto, alto, coloratura, soprano? Like, coloratura is like, really?
Oh, the coloratura? No, coloratura I can do a little bit, but I have the really low range and the really high range.
That's amazing.
So yeah, it's just really nice. So I can kind of do it all. So I love to sing like low jazz and get really gravelly, and then also love to get really high and pop those high notes for opera.
Oh my goodness! Wow, I could imagine watching you as a main lead in like Tosca or Turandot, and wow, that's amazing. I love to hear about your singing. So your operatic training influenced your approach to singing and songwriting as well.
Yes, very much so.
That's cool.
I think the reason is there are no songs for people like me, because I love popular music, but I also have this training and I have this voice that can go up and down. So it's nice to write your own music where then you can tailor it to what you want to do. So the operatic definitely, so everything I do, I have like an opera rock fusion, an opera pop fusion, an opera folk fusion. So it's like, I want to incorporate the way I sing, but in a more modern way. So that's the idea behind it.
Wow, I understand what you're talking about, Samantha. I'm sort of a vocalist, and I think when I took music lessons and I went to a vocal coach, he said that I was a baritone. So
okay.
I can do low like this. I can do high like this. yes, But I want to keep myself as a tenor, so I want to go out and start learning that again. I just want to stay as a tenor. I don't want to be like them saying, "Okay, you get to be in the stage show, but you have to sing baritone." No, 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 no. I
You
want to
don't
stick
like
with
it?
the. I like the Josh Groban type thing, you
Yes,
know. But I know that you were in the musical Jekyll and Hyde, and you sang "Someone Like You." What was that like?
I love that musical. And, so actually, I never actually did I ever perform that musical? I don't think I did. I think I just, I did some recordings of it because I love the song so much. So that was one of the ones I used to do in my recitals. I used to do recitals, and that's interesting. So even when I was doing recitals when I was younger, I would start with, very, like, Baroque opera, and then I would work my way through, and then at the end, I would do musicals and jazz, even in my concerts. So I think it started at a pretty early, like, trying to blend it all because I never could pick. I was like, "Why'd I have to pick?" I love all these styles so much, and musical theater is so cool, and so is jazz, so is
It
opera,
is. You ever
you know?
thought of maybe getting into going into the musical Wicked and singing like Gravity?
Oh my god,
Or
yes.
you want
Yes.
to be popular,
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I would love
Um,
to.
yeah, I was listening to your reel that where you were singing opera, beautiful opera, and I heard your song "You Left Me,"
Yeah,
um, which is a new song. So that features on a collaboration with South Seaside Music. That's a
yes.
totally different, like, you don't even know the same person. Samantha singing "Someone Like You" and then Samantha singing opera, and you're thinking they're two different people.
Oh.
Um, what is your process for writing and recording new music? Like, tell us how you put "You Left Me" together.
Well, this was a beautiful collaboration with my friend Justin, who's the head of South Seaside Music. He happened to have a track, and he was like, "I wrote this," and he had his own very personal reasons for writing it. And he just sent it to me. And he said, "Would you mind putting some vocals to it?" And I started playing with it, and it just kind of came. It was kind of hard at first because it's a very unusual song, right? The way it's not really structured like a regular pop song or anything. So with this one, I tried to honor his inspiration with what he was writing about, but then also inside started bubbling up like things that I wanted to write about in my past, about a love loss that I once had, and it just kinda started to merge, if that makes sense? So it was just kinda like a gut thing. I just kept listening to it and then trying to find a melody because his song was already so melodic, so it's like, "How do I add a melody to this?" But then it came out, and I really love this weird, amazing song that we came up with, you know?
Did you start with the lyrics or the melody first?
They kinda go hand in hand for me.
Yeah,
I think maybe if I had to maybe lyrics come first, mainly. I also write a lot of poetry. So I have, in your phone, I have notes with poetry. So I
yeah,
kind of went to that too, and I was like, "Ooh, this poem might kind of fit." And then it's kind of like it's a collab within myself between the lyrics and the music. It kind of goes back and forth, I guess. But I guess the lyrics are a little bit more important as far as
yeah.
the melody. Yeah.
Well, what themes do you explore in your songs?
Well, the first 3 that I did were all based on very strong life experiences that I had. A lot of heartbreak, a lot of, darker times. So for me, it was almost like a emotional purging, and it's like you finally talk about it, but you don't talk about it, you just sing about it, you know? So it's kind of a beautiful so I think that's where it came from. I felt this need to just express some of the things I've felt and gone through.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You're discussing there in your little biography earlier when you were a child that you should go and be an opera singer. Why an opera singer? Like, didn't you listen to regular music back then, like pop music, Britney Spears, stuff like that?
I
Maybe you
love
wanted
her.
to be like Britney Spears and
I
Britney
never
LaCroix.
yeah, that'd be fun. I never thought I don't know, it's weird. I just never thought I would or could or I didn't think I had the and when you can sing opera, I find it's so pleasurable just to sing those notes and to
Mhm.
get the vibrato and to hit those notes. It's kind of a rush, like just in your room, with
Mhm.
no one around. So it's like if I can do that, I don't want to sing "Baby Hit Me One More Time." I want to do, even though I love that song, and I don't really sound good doing pop. I'm learning how to do pop now because I always sing everything too big and too, oh, you know. So I think for me, I'm kind of very happy that I now get to sing lighter stuff. But I think when I was younger, it just never was really an option because the voice was so big and so heavy, and
Yeah.
it was just made for opera, I think. But now I've learned how to balance it and make it more contemporary. And that's why I think I love the songwriting journey I'm on.
Yeah.
It's like I get to do both now, you know?
Are acoustics important to you for the resonance of your voice?
Yes. And that's really hard because in a recording studio, there are
Yeah.
none. So I have learned with my engineer to have him tweak when we're recording, to tweak it so I still get that feedback as if I'm doing opera, so I can use the acoustics in the room. Because even though I sang in a jazz choir with a microphone, most of my singing has been, without one.
Mhm.
And I remember I used to make some mistakes. I did some musicals when I was, in my 20s, and smaller ones. And everyone else had a mic, and I said, "No, I don't want a mic because I want to
Yeah.
bounce." And that was so stupid because in the end, they all sounded really loud and big, and then me with my big voice, I was like really quiet, not quiet, but you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like it kind of totally defeated the purpose. It's like,
Yeah.
just learn how to use a mic, woman. So now I think I've conquered that. And I think I can now sing in a room with or without acoustics because now I finally trust my inner voice, whereas before I always had to bounce it off things. And that's where I got the most pleasure out of it from the bouncing. But now it's like I
Mhm.
just enjoy to sing. So I think I've changed the way I approach singing for sure.
Do you have a certain type of liquid that you drink? Like most of them are like lemon juice, I think. They put lemon in water and they drink it, or
Now,
chamomile tea to help their voice.
I don't drink alcohol just as a lifestyle choice, and I don't drink caffeine. So I think that helps a lot because all those things are drying. And then I drink a lot of herbal teas just by choice, and I love
Okay.
green tea. But water to me is the ultimate magic elixir. So before a performance, during a performance, after, basically anytime I am drinking water. If I've been at your house because I left water everywhere. There's bottles. There's
Yeah.
like, oh, Samantha was here.
Yeah. I no longer drink carbonated drinks. I only have carbonated water. Like I like
Okay. Yeah.
Perrier or Montelier. I don't drink
Mhm.
Coke or Pepsi anymore because I had an issue a
Yeah.
year or two ago about a medical issue and I had to go on keto and I lost like 34, almost 40 pounds.
Oh wow.
So I want to keep on that. But yeah, you drinking Pepsi, like I know a guy who drank Pepsi all his life and he ended up with like over 9 root canals and
Oh
teeth
my
fall
God.
out and the sugar. So you got to stay off sugar.
Yeah,
Samantha, is there like a plan for a full album at one point?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Looking
Yes.
forward to that.
Yes, definitely.
Is it going to
Yeah.
be opera or is it just going to be cover songs?
No covers. It's all going to be original. So everything I'm doing now is original. So I'm going to stick with original because again, like we said, I can tailor make it to my voice and you know, it's it's I think a lot of artists maybe might do that they write from the soul. So I want to keep doing that. It's very cleansing and very satisfying. So I think, yeah, I want to do my own music, my own way.
I
Something
think
that
it's going
hasn't
to
been done before.
Yeah, I think it's going to work out for you, Samantha. I think you're going to do well in that. Um, I really enjoyed your acting. I'd like to ask you a little, can you tell us a little bit about your journey into acting? Like, what inspired you pursue this?
Okay, so, hmm, I always loved acting very much. But when I was young, I just never thought it was for me because where I grew up, most people didn't look like me. I grew up in Austria. Everyone's blonde, very fair, blue eyes, green eyes, and I didn't look like that. And again, I was more curvy than most people because of just, didn't I didn't look like the people that were So I did have the dream of being a theater actress for a long time, but that's hard. And again, I had this big old voice, and I think opera was more suited for it. So I did want to do musical theater for sure, but then opera just seemed like a better fit for me,
Mhm.
you know? But then I don't know. When I started teaching theater, that's when I really got into acting. Because through the theater program, I had the opportunity to go to New York and study with Broadway artists and at the American Academy for Dramatic Arts and just really delve into real acting, like and Meisner, Stanislavski, and all that stuff. And I think that's when I really got into it. And teaching other people how to do it made me love it and want it. And so, and I think what really clenched it for me was Pepperonia. Again, that film in
Yeah.
2019. I was just like, wow, this is everything I love. This is, and with theater, and there's a quote, and it says something like, theater is over. I forget what the quote. It's a beautiful quote. I'm butchering it right now, but it only lives in your imagination, but film is forever. And I was like, I want to do forever. I want to do, and film just seemed more accessible, which is strange. I don't know. But so I moved to Atlanta for film, for sure, because it just bit me. And I just really liked the more
Mm.
intimate acting style. And I'm still really big, because of the whole theater background. So directors are often like, okay, tone it down, tone it down. But I'd rather tone it down than, I don't know. So it's always been there. And now I think there's much more representation in film and TV. And it just kind of became like, yeah, why not me? Why not me? Why can't I
Why
do it?
not you? Definitely.
Yeah, why not me?
Why not you? Can you tell us about your early years in Vienna? How did that influence your artistic journey?
Oh, well, Vienna's such a beautiful place, right? Um, I think you're just surrounded by beauty and art and you don't even know it, because when you live there, you just have no idea, how lucky you are. And my parents, we went to the opera all the time, and my mom was playing all the time. So, and we had people come to the house. We had all these different artists at the house and, musicians. And it was just like normal, you know? So it was not. And then when we moved, I was so lucky to go to Cathra, which is the performing arts school. So it kind of continued for me. So it's like I've always been in this magical bubble of the arts, you know, from an early age. So I never got to experience life without it. And then I just always chose it in one profession or another. It's always been the arts. It's been piano, yeah, or singing or opera or musical theater or film, but it's always been the arts or ballet. But that's the through line, I think, in my life is that the arts.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
remember when I was younger, my mother and I and my father, we used to attend the Cathra Park secondary school dramas. Like they had Sorry Wrong Number. They had what was that one I can't remember. Anyway, there's plenty of them. I watched that, and I really appreciated those. I really yes, mine's up there sleeping. Um, but so yeah, and remember that song by Billy Joel called Vienna? It says, "Why don't you realize Vienna waits for you?"
No, I need to
Check it
listen
out.
to it.
Yeah,
Nice
you
voice.
should.
Okay. Yes. Nice voice.
Um, what inspired you to pursue dramatic and operatic training in Toronto?
I think I did not want to leave Austria. It was very hard for me. And I used to be incredibly shy. I think that needs to be said because people are always like, what? How? And now I'm the opposite. I'm very outgoing, I'm very friendly. But in Austria, I was very closed off. And I had friends, but other than that, I would die, if people talk to me or, in the street or whatever. So when we moved to Canada, we first moved to Scarborough and I went to a regular high school and I was dying.
Hmm.
And in Austria, we don't have cafeterias and all that stuff. So we don't even have a lunch break. We just eat. We have 5 to 10 minute breaks between classes and the teachers come to us. So we have one classroom that you you have the same people you're with for like 8 years, which is kind of crazy. But you become really, really close. And then the teachers come to you. So I'd never heard of a cafeteria. And so when I moved to Scarborough, I would hide. And so I would just like, I would go to the library and I was so shy. I didn't know how to ask to check out a book. So I would read a book during my lunch period and then sneak the food. And then I would hide the book because I couldn't check it out, because I didn't know how. And I was too scared to ask. So I've come a long way. But what they had there, they had a really strong arts program. And again, they put me into the orchestra, they put me into all this stuff. And I was like, okay, here I can talk to people, here I'm happy. So I was there for, I want to say 3 months. And then my parents bought a house in Mississauga. And all the teachers there, they called in my parents. They said, your daughter needs to go to a performing arts school. They said, we can't really reach her, but when she's in arts class, she's amazing. So then Cawthra Park, I auditioned, I got in, and that's how that happened. And it kind of opened my world,
Yeah, that is incredible. So you
Yeah.
think, so now that we're at Cawthra Park, do you think your studies at TCU and Yale shaped your career?
Yes.
In what way?
Well, TCU helped me discover opera, right? Because of that teacher, that amazing teacher. May
One
he
who
rest.
passed.
Yes. I think he was, and I had another teacher I really love. I do have to shout her out. Her name was Miss Mallet, and she was my other voice teacher. But he's the one that changed my life because he saw something in me that no one else had, with the opera thing. And he understood, and he knew how to train my voice. And he would say to me, Samantha, pretend that your voice is sitting on the tip of a pencil, because I have this big voice, right? And he's like, sing to the tip of the pencil and only put it on top of there. And before it was so heavy and unwieldy, kind of like a Wagner voice. And then once I started doing that, I could sing color to or anything because they put it on the tip of the pencil.
Wow.
Yeah. So it really changed my life. And then with Yale, she was an amazing teacher, and she was very caring, and she taught me other things. I'll never forget. I always had to come to my lessons in full makeup and full hair. She said, "You're training to be a diva. You need to act like one." And then when I drank my water, I'd have to get a straw, and she's like, "We don't drink water. We use a straw." So she was amazing in other ways. And so she taught me a lot of things. I don't do full makeup very hardly ever unless someone puts it on me, but it was still fun, so, but that journey, and I also got to study diction a lot, which, because coming from Austria, I sounded like a female Arnold Schwarzenegger. I sounded very, it was really
Got
bad.
to the chopper. Oh, sorry. Got to the chopper.
It was terrible. There was this one time I wanted water, and I'm like, water, please. And they're like, what? And I'm like, water. And I was like dying. I was like choking. And finally I go, water. They're like, oh, water.
Oh my goodness. Amazing.
Yeah, but I love the
Lovely
diction
stories.
studies. Yeah. So diction was fun at Yale. And I never was actually a Yale student. It was a very interesting thing, the way it happened. I auditioned for them, and they let me be an adjunct student because I already had my master's. So I basically studied with all the teachers there, and I got to, sing with their accompanists and study with Lili, but I wasn't enrolled. So I was there for like 4 or 5 years. Just, it's kind of cool.
Wow.
Yeah, it was very
That's
cool.
amazing.
Yeah.
And look at you now. You're an actress.
Yeah.
You're a singer. Eventually, hopefully, you can commute. You can put them both in one kind of. But
Yeah.
and then you were touring with the Magic Lantern Theater Company. Tell me about that experience.
So that was really cool. It was a company out of Connecticut. And what he does is he recreates old theater, the precursors to movies. So he does these slides, and it's called a Magic Lantern. And it's this really cool old machine, and then you project. I don't know how it does. I think it does it through like gas or something, and it projects the images, and then we act them out. So it's a very wonderful way to express theater and film at the same time. And so I
Wow.
would play the piano while he was doing the slides and then sing. And then I would have solos. Sometimes it was very out of the box. And I got to do monologues, I'd do solos, I'd play the piano. So I kind of combined everything I got to do. And then we would just tour. And it was really fun. And we'd play huge venues, we'd play tiny venues. And it taught me a lot about audience. It taught me a lot about the magic of theater, because we
Wow.
would arrive and we would have these trunks of like red velvet and black velvet, and we would transform the space into this old Victorian space. And I had to do my hair, and it was just really fun. It was a fun experience.
Ever since we started talking, there's always like a song in there. So you said Black Velvet, and a
Yeah.
little boy smile.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
always like I always like to live with like lyrics in some way.
I
But
love that.
yeah. But
Yeah.
how did your experiences with the American Academy for Dramatic Arts and the Broadway Teachers Workshop impact your craft?
Wow. If I could, I would go to the American Academy for a year and just study.
Wow.
I love them. I think they are the be all and end all as far as I'm concerned. The way they teach, their approach to acting, I just love it. Um, so if money was not an object and time was not an object, I would go and just immerse myself. Um, so it affected me greatly. It's only like they were short stints every year. So it'd be about 5 days with the Broadway teachers and maybe 3 days with the academy. But they would be back to back. So that's how I managed to do it. So I would fly to New York and then do one and then do the other. The Broadway teachers one was amazing because you're working with actual Broadway.
Wow.
I mean, we worked with the Hamilton team. They showed us how they came up. I mean, it was incredible. We did a master class with Leslie Odom, you
Mm,
know. And also as part of that group, you get to see all the shows. So we got to see all the shows. Then we would meet the cast afterwards, and then we
awesome.
would take classes with the cast. So it was just insane. And we would do
Wow.
even like mock dance auditions for different shows. They would teach us the actual choreography for Matilda. We had the choreographer from Matilda, and she would teach it to us. And then she would audition us like it was a real Broadway audition. And she would cut us like this line, step forward. It was incredible. So it just and they had so they had technical theater, they had the choreography, the performance aspect, and I just soaked it up like a sponge. So every summer, that was my training, and I would go and I would just you know and yeah, and then I would go to extra shows. So I would see like 8 9 shows every summer, and all the big ones. I saw Hamilton, the original cast, like all these big shows, and it was just such a privilege. And yeah, so I have a soft heart for both of them, very much so.
That's amazing. That's amazing, Samantha. And then there
Mhm.
was a time you were in Atlanta. How
Yes,
has your experience been working on independent features, shorts, pilots, and web series go for you in Atlanta?
it's a mixed bag, but generally, I love it. But there are shoots. I did one independent film, and they had $1 million camera crane.
Wow.
Just a
Wow.
camera crane. I was like, I got hired. It was a short film, and I'm like, "What is going on?" It was like a big budget set. It was crazy. I got to play a mob boss. I loved it. It's in post-production right now.
Oh, hold that. You got to play a what?
Oh yeah, I play mob bosses a lot.
Like what's that? What was that show that's on Queen of the South or whatever, where
Yes,
she was a drug dealer, kind of like
yep.
a
I
mob
played like
boss,
4 of those.
boss or something? Wow. Was that
You wouldn't
like? How could you be a mob boss and smile like that? Hey, we're gonna kill you, so give me my money.
Oh, no.
Hey, give me
No,
money.
no.
Like, how would you do that? How do you put on your
That's
mob boss face? Okay, I'll get the money. Awesome. Wow, that's great.
thanks.
I'd love to kill you. You can get me to do anything with that look. Wow, amazing. So what is
Yeah.
this called and when is it going to be released?
Um, I can't remember what it's called. Isn't that sad? I just did it like 6 months ago.
Wow.
After a while, it all just blends. But it's going to come out soon, I hope. I'm very, very excited for it. I do have a movie on Tubi right now where I play mob boss. It's called Hail Mary.
He's been messing with you. What?
Calm down, Sophia. Can I?
I want you to have my money by Saturday.
And I'm the
Yes,
main villain.
I was going to talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah. But see, so that they're very different experiences. So they're both these are great examples. They're both mob bosses, right? But completely different experiences. Hail Mary was a true Hail Mary. It was made by this beautiful woman named Akila who wrote it. She starred in it. She filmed it. She edited it. She did everything. She funded it, and it was a shoestring budget, and that's being kind. But we did it, and there was a lot of artistry, and we filmed the whole thing almost in like one location and just got really creative with camera angles and props and things like that. And then I had the other experience, which was incredible. I had my own makeup artist, I had my own hairstylist, I had, wardrobe consultations, and we had $1 million crane, and it was just incredible. We had a coffee truck. When it's a big budget production when they have their own coffee truck. That's what.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I know those coffee trucks. We
Yeah,
had a I'm not going to give this a well, I'm not
yeah.
editing anything from this conversation. I'm going to
Okay.
post it as if because it's beautiful interview that we're having.
Oh,
But and I'm going to leave this one in, but what it is that
yeah,
we had when I was working somewhere, I won't tell you
yeah.
where, we had a coffee truck with a beautiful short blonde woman that I don't think was 22, 23 years old, and she sold bootleg DVDs
Oh, yeah.
on a coffee truck. I'm like,
I love it.
what? Her name was Geraldine. That's it. So Geraldine, what movie do you have for me this time? It's kind of weird, but yeah,
It's
that's all I'm going to say. I don't see her, so it's probably was fired coffee trucking, but
Oh,
but
well, I respect the
that's
hustle.
but that sounds good. You get to be a mob boss, and you have to
Mhm.
explore other things such
Yeah.
as crying and getting angry and
Oh,
violent
yeah.
tempers and drug dealers and being a druggie and a drunkard. I'm sure
Yes,
that's kind of like something you have to. So what challenges have you faced as stand-in and PA on union sets? Can you talk about that?
absolutely. I just lost you. Okay, there we are. Okay, perfect. Yeah. My phone, whenever I put it on, I don't understand, but whatever. Um, so PA and union sets. Union sets are their own animal. I love them, but they're interesting. There's a lot of dynamics that go on in there, and they run the gamut too, just like the indie films, just in a different way. Um, the way people are treated, the atmosphere on set, it can be extremely hostile, it can be extremely wonderful. Um, so I've worked both there also. Um, But I love it. The thing I love about stand-in is that you get to be right there where the magic happens. You get to watch
Wow.
the DP and the gaffer and the director go at it. And sometimes they go at it in a really ugly way, and sometimes they're really, unified and they have a creative vision,
Oh
but I've
yeah.
definitely seen both.
Do you remember the whole Christian Bale thing where he started yelling and screaming and calling his person's name, and all it was a photographer who walked over his shadow, and he was carrying he goes, "How dare you walk over me?" That happens, and when you get
It
these
does.
actors, it's just like totally explosive disorders. It's like you
Yeah.
ever experienced that with somebody on set?
I did actually. I was standing in on The Walking Dead, and there was an actor, not one of the regulars, not at all, not any of the big names. It was just it was a spin-off of The Walking Dead. I'm not gonna
Oh
say
yeah.
which. And he had a fit, and he was very upset because he wanted to do his own stunts, but
Oh,
no time for it. And so he was throwing a hissy fit, and yeah, it was not pretty. It was not pretty. He was pretty, but the fit was not. Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, everyone was like, okay, dude, we got way off schedule and it was this whole big thing. And
But it's still fun to act because you're going to end up with people like that, you know?
yeah, I
Because I
mean,
talk to many actors and they just tell me some things that happened and there's
yeah,
blooper reels we create and there's people you just can't work with. And then when you have to play a mean character, and I asked them about method acting, I'm like, if you
yeah.
play a mean character or something, what prevents you from taking that home with you?
Ooh, I don't know. I just switch it on and off. Like you saw how I just switched it.
That's
Um,
amazing. Yeah.
I
Wow.
think I have we all have a lot of people inside us. And the reason again why I love to play the ugly, mean, nasty, evil ones, and I play a lot of sweet ones. It's kind of a even bag,
Yeah.
probably more sweet than evil, but I don't know. It's just so fun, and then it's almost like writing the songs. It's purging for me.
Yeah.
It's like I get to be this person, and then I get to be mom, and I get to be Samantha again. But I get to explore this other side. And I actually, when I was doing one of the mob bosses, Sophia, for Hail Mary, I actually did these exercises just for the heck of it. They just came into my head, and I'm like, I was cooking, and I'm like, how would Sophia cook?
Wow.
And then I would start cooking like her, and I'm like vacuuming, like, how would Sophia do it? And it was so much fun, and my kids were like scared, and the dog was
Wow.
hiding, and I was like, yeah, this is what Sophia would do. And I'm like, okay, kids, time for dinner. you know?
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting how you can prepare for that role. But what
Yeah.
drew you to the character in Hail Mary?
Well, honestly, opportunity.
Hmm.
I think that's a big thing for me right now is because I'm still at the beginning of my career. So when someone offers me something, it's funny. I can read a script and I can see it. I can visualize it and I can hear if I can hear my voice doing it, then I can do it. And so far, and I feel like again, with the way I approach characters, I can pretty much play anyone just because of the approach that I've been taught and have, I guess, internalized. So I think I just loved her because she was such a badass. And she was just I just loved her. Yeah. Like it was love at first line. I was like, okay, yeah. But also she offered it to me. So it's like, okay, you're gonna offer me this part and I get yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is there a part that you will not play no matter how much money you're given?
Anything with nudity or anything like that. I don't think, or anything. Yeah, I think it's mostly like, yeah, nudity, I would say. I think, and maybe, I don't know. I mean, maybe if it's like a really horrific character, or maybe someone extremely racist or someone extremely something something, where I also might feel it might affect my personal life because people sometimes can't separate the two. So I think there's a fine line, you know?
I know what you
Yeah.
mean.
Yeah.
I know this actor, and all he does is he has a resume, and he says he'll play a dead body. So what he'll do is he'll have photos taken of himself in different positions as someone who was found dead, and he said, "I
Oh,
want to be the dead body found." So there's no atra. You don't have to say anything. There's
hmm.
no acting. He just lay me on the ground, pour blood on it, look like I'm stabbed, and that's my character. That's what and it's amazing. It's like incredible.
That is incredible. He's probably very good at it, sounds like to
Yeah.
me. You know?
But so I know that The Secret Life of Amy Benson has a very intriguing plot. How do you connect with that character in the series?
Well, honestly, I didn't do that much in it. I just have a beautiful part in the reel. So I just was a very minor, minor, minor character. It was a scene. It was just really the one scene on the reel. So that one, it was just kind of like we were just told the moment of, I didn't really know what I was going to be doing till I got on set. And then they kind of placed us and they said, this is your motivation. This is what you're doing. And then I just kind of did it. So that one was not a big acting thing. But again, because I like to turn it on, they just said, be really suspicious.
Mm,
There's something going on with her. And we just kind of huddled for a second, then we just did it. It was not, nothing, no breakout role there, Yeah.
amazing. But
Yeah.
then you played Valentina in the Fatal Attraction episode Deadly Silence. How did you
Yes.
prepare for that intense role?
That was intense. Um, I think I do, like I said, I think of things. I think it's like it's a little bit of Stanislavski where you dig into your own, but it's also like you just think of someone you really care about. And if it was, I didn't put my daughter in her place because I played the mother whose daughter was murdered, right?
Hmm.
I don't substitute my daughter, but what I do is I would think of how would I feel. And honestly, I actually think of the actress as my daughter. We're actually very close now. And it was so cool, playing her. And we had just met. And but I think I try to think of her with love and like what would happen if she was no longer in my life. And that's where I go from. So I do draw on my feelings for my own children and other things, but I think I mainly connect myself to the actor, if that makes sense.
It does. But you just never know how you feel if you lose a child. Like I know how I felt when I lost my dad and mom, but to
Oh,
lose like someone
yeah.
close, like a relationship, your wife, your child,
Yeah.
you got to really get in there. So you're not, yeah, I lost my wife today of cancer. Oh well, got to move on.
Oh,
You got to be
no.
like, it's,
Oh, yeah.
it's got
Yeah.
to, and it takes a toll on you. And then suddenly you go home to your real life, or your real wife, real children, like, Daddy, what's wrong? He said, oh, you don't want to know, I don't know
Yeah.
how they do it. Like I'm sort of an
I
actor, and I did a lot of
yeah.
acting. Um, and my brother was in like 40 movies, and
Oh,
he
wow.
did extra work and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but when you finally see the movie, you're like, wow, I'm good. Or you're like, oh, I should have played that differently, you know?
Well, see, for me, I think it's I'm able to compartmentalize and like I could go into that right now, that feeling. I think it's like almost having different things ready. And also like at the academy, they taught us physical things that you can do when you're supposed to be distressed. You feel it in your stomach, and we would do exercises. So it's like you can also, and it was actually the most amazing day I ever took there, I think. And it was like this 4 hour long workshop, and we dug into our emotions. And they had us sobbing on the floor. They had us screaming in anger. And I actually did not connect anybody to it. It was just coming from a physical place. So they were like, hollow yourself out. Like they had all these different prompts, and it was amazing actually. So I feel, I don't know, it it doesn't deplete me anymore. It almost feeds me, which maybe I'm a psychopath. I don't know. But it's
And then
like,
you were preparing for your role as the mob boss.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's like I can almost turn it on and off, but not in a bad way, if that makes sense. It's just
It
like,
does.
again, it's accessing a different part of you. And it's so lovely. That's why I love acting so much, because you get to explore yourself.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know how you like. For instance, the film
Yeah.
Butterfly Dust and a unique
Yeah.
project like that,
Yeah.
experiences you had, and Pepperonia, which you talked about before, and how I said I feel like having pizza. Now that
Yeah.
received a lot of attention. Um, I know that I don't know what you think about what makes that project Pepperoni stand out, but the one that's interesting is when Love Calls, you play a pivotal role. How did you manage this character differently from your previous roles?
I didn't. I think every role is important, whether it's one line or
Mm,
20 pages. I think you just you just do the work and you find it within you, if that makes sense at all.
it does.
Yeah, I don't
It
think I
does.
approach any of them any differently. I mean, you might be more nervous about some than others, but then if you prepare yourself enough, I think preparation is key in general. I think I feel like, especially once the cameras are on you and they're like, it's easy to lose your internal focus. But I think,
I agree.
yeah, and I think that's part of also maybe self-confidence, maybe. It's like, and I think you get the self-confidence by preparation. So it's like the more you prepare, the more confident you will be, and then it's okay. They can, I had one. movie that I did, an independent film, and he interrupted me, and it was like 3 pages of continuous dialogue. And
Wow.
really difficult dialogue, like really difficult, like big words that I had to look up, and I didn't really, and I had to make sure I understood every word and what it meant. And then in the
Wow.
middle of the take, and
I would have given up on that point.
Chris, we're in a close up, and he interrupts me. He goes, "You missed a line." I was like, I said, "No, I did not." He said, "No, no, no. This is the part where, well, needless to say, I did not miss the line." But I was like, "Why would you?" He's like, "Well, that line's really important to me. Let's go back." And I said, "It's not there yet. But now but you have to work with that. It is what it is. And it is what it is. You
You know,
can't control it,
I've
you
done a
know?"
lot of voice work, a lot of acting where I played like
Mhm.
drug dealers, drunkards, and people think I do a good villain. I'm like,
I can see that. Yeah.
I'm Batman, So
Love
or you
it.
know, it's hard for me to just do it. I have to actually prepare myself, and then I can, do my face and everything. But I'm sort of like, people just put on your straight face, put on your mean face, and then you start laughing, and you get these blooper reels.
Yeah.
But for you, it's like do the mob boss. You're like, and
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'll get the money. So like, you have to be professional about that.
Yeah.
With the Paperboy,
Mhm.
that was an interesting project. So, what was the most memorable moment from that during the film?
Thank you. He's a good boy.
Probably that me and my daughter were on the same set. So this is kind of
Oh,
interesting. The Paperboy, I played his mother, and she played his love interest, which is really weird.
oh my God! I would have walked away from that point. I didn't. That would. I don't care about the money. I would not do that. No way. No way.
It was fun. I mean, we worked together a lot, me and her. Um, so it was fun to be with her on set. And then you get to be stage mom, and then you get to worry about yourself, and you get to do all of it all at once. So, but that was fun. That was a very unique challenge.
Would you say that was your most challenging role?
No.
No.
What would be my most challenging role? Um, I don't know, think I've met it yet. I want one. So if
I,
anyone's listening, give it to me.
I think the mob boss one is challenging. Yeah, but how would you say motivated, inspired in your acting career? How do you do that?
I
Because
just
you're a
love it
singer as
so
well.
much. I love it so much. There's I think I'm living my dream. So if you're living your dream, you don't need anything to motivate you. I think I have extremely big goals, you know, um, and I think it's the journey, but I've also learned it's not about the goal. It's about the journey. And so I think I've really learned how to live in the present moment, and I kind of go, even scheduling with you, my schedule's crazy and I never know what I'm doing from one minute to the next. But that's also because I want to be open for every opportunity that presents itself. You know what I mean?
Appreciate that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but I just mean in a different way. It's just like, and so like every day I'm like, oh, okay, today I'm doing this, but it might actually change. And I think I don't know where I'm going with this, but the point is, it's like live in the moment, and every role is a moment. I don't know. It's just all kind of like part of the journey, and I love this journey I'm on. And now, is it hard sometimes? Yeah. Um, Between projects, it can be hard.
I can understand that, Samantha. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
you're working in independent films and
Yeah.
larger productions. So, how do they compare? Like, what do you enjoy most about working in both of them?
The food's great in the large ones.
I'm an actor, though. I just want the food. I don't care about what I'm doing. I'll be going. So, what am I supposed to be doing? What? You want me to be a mob boss? Hey, what was that again? Hold on one second. Can I have another burger, please? That would be me.
Well, I always eat after, so I'll hamster it all because I can't eat before or during, but like after.
Funny.
But
Yeah.
no, but in all seriousness, I love the union sets. and I haven't done that much union as far as like acting. It's been mostly non-union.
Mhm.
So that's definitely the next big step for me, is to do these roles, but in a union setting.
Yeah.
Um, but so yeah, usually when I'm on a union set, I'm not that important. So therefore I can't eat. Whereas on a non-union set, I'm very important. I'm usually one of the bigger characters,
Yeah, did the SAG and after strike affect you at all? I guess it did, huh?
Yeah.
So what did you do during that time then?
Well, I do a lot of I hustle. I'm a hustler. That's why I appreciated the lady selling of course you shouldn't do that because it's illegal. But, I appreciate the hustle. So I do a lot of brand ambassador work. So I will represent different brands. They use a lot of actors for that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So that can range from anywhere from selling a product like a garage floor. I'm doing that later today. I'm selling
Mm.
garage floors. Yesterday I was a bartender. 2 days ago I was catering. I've represented Pepsi and IBM and all different kinds of brands. I work
Wow.
at the racetrack. So that's what I mean. Like, so even when I'm not on set, my life is extremely crazy, but like in the best way possible.
Amazing.
Yeah. So it's always something, or like there'll be a networking breakfast. Like yesterday at a breakfast in the morning, and then, it's just always something. And I never quite know what it is. And sometimes you have to pick which one of the possibilities to take, which door will I open?
That's amazing. Who would you
Yeah.
like to collab with? Like famous actor, famous actress? What part what
Mm,
what part would you love to do?
that's a big question.
Answer both of them, or you can answer one of them. But mostly I want to know who would you like to collab with?
Hmm. There's a lot of people, I would
Yeah.
say. Yeah. That's a big question. I don't think I could just answer like that. There's different reasons for different people. Um, I would just like to collaborate with true artists. I'm gonna put it like that. I have a mission statement that's right by my bed, and it
Wow.
reads something like, yeah, because you have to. And I also have like a vision board next to my bed. And I think you need to have those things. So on my mission statement, what does it say? It says something like, I want to be able to create great art with people that, and make a difference. And what else did I say? And just like with like-minded individuals that challenge me, that help me grow, and that I can be myself with creatively. So I think I'm going to say it like that. I don't think I'm going to go with a name, or I think it's just, and I don't want to limit that either. It's like it should be unlimited, like the song
Yeah,
from Wicked,
I
Unlimited,
know.
you
So
know?
you're singing and then you do PA work and then you're standing
Yeah.
and then you're doing the hustles and you have to deal with your mental health. How do you deal with your mental health? Because not only that, you directed No Stone Left Unturned. Like what inspired you to step behind the camera and how was the experience different from acting? Like how did you deal with that?
I loved it. I love directing. It was an opportunity again. It presented itself. I like opportunities. And my first instinct for in the arts is to say yes. But sometimes I will say no. I do say
Mhm.
no, and I'm starting to say it more often. But I said yes. And I had worked with, it was actually the same director from Paperboy. So we had
Mm.
worked together. And so he knew me well. He loved the way my acting process. So he wanted me in on the project, and he wanted me to be the script supervisor. So
Oh
I read the
wow.
script, and I told him that I saw him as the leading role. He was just the writer at the time. And I said, I can see you as the leading role. You wrote this for you. And he said, yeah, I did, but I'm too afraid to do it. And I said, let me direct you. And I want to direct it. His location and shape, I would say she was first hit by a car, run over, and then shot. Look, I am so sorry. And he's like, you've never directed before? And I'm like, yeah, I've directed a lot of theater. And
Mm.
and again, as a stand-in, you're and a PA, you learn, and I'm always learning. I always want to learn. I'm soaking up, right? So it's like I know I can do this. And it just came to me out of nowhere. I was like, trust me, let me do it. And I begged him to let me do it. And he said yes. And so then I directed it. And what I love about directing I like to come from an acting standpoint as an actor. So I did a lot of prep work with my actors, and we really delved into their character and their motivations. And once they know that, and like how they are represented in the story, and once they have that, then I just let them fly. Because if you have a good actor, because I was also part of the casting, so if you cast the right actor, if you give them that trust, they will know what to do. You don't have to micromanage people.
Mm-hmm.
And the same with my DP, my director of photography. I would just kind of tell him what I wanted. We had 2 camera ops, and you know, you tell them what you're looking for. And I'm learning more. I just recently took a directing workshop for camera angles and things like that. So I'm trying to be
Wow.
more technical. But at the time, I was just going with my gut, right? Because it was my first time, and I would just kind of tell them what I was looking for, and then they would set it up, and I would look at it, and we would tweak it. So you have to also trust your people. And that's why I say I don't know who I want to work with, as long as we're creating something beautiful and we're of the same. Because I think just because someone's famous doesn't mean necessarily they might be good. And just because someone may not be famous may not mean that they're not good. You know what I mean? So it's like, why limit who you would work with? You know? Yeah,
Exactly. So would
yeah,
there be a chance for you to write your own screenplay and cast
I did.
yourself in it? And
I
what kind
did.
of oh, you did, yeah?
Yeah, it's my next project. So I didn't, yeah. So I have a movie, it's in pre-production. And I I was doing a hustle. I was selling garage floors at this festival, and I was walking around during my break, and I met this author, and we really hit it off. And she wanted me to buy her books, and I didn't have the money for it, you know, because I'm still starving at this point, you know, with
Mhm.
all these hustles. And I said, I'm so sorry. I really love you, and I want to support you. So she sent me a short story. And she said, well, read this. I fell in love with her short story. I started crying. I called her the next day. I said, can I please make this into a movie?
Wow.
And she said, yes. So I actually transformed it into a full-length screenplay. Um,
Nice.
I already have my cast. I'm going to be playing a supporting character who's a singer-songwriter.
Oh,
So I'm
nice.
actually going to put some of my music in this film. So you mentioned that earlier. So I'm going to be doing that. Thank you. And I just attached, as long as I get the funding, I have Eric Roberts to play one of the characters, which is huge. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to try to film it in June because I feel like everything's been, you know?
Yeah, that I
Yeah.
want to do that. I want to write a script and I want to
Yeah.
cast well because it's usually
Yeah.
like I'm in a mall or I'm in a coffee shop or whatever restaurant. I say, wow, that waitress or no, can't call them waitresses. That server
Yeah.
looks like the main character Nancy, who's the assassin in my story. Or I'm on the
Ooh.
subway and I'm like, oh, that guy, that could be. Oh, you know, he looks. So it's not like you can say, hey, would you like to be in a movie? It's like, yeah, creepy guy, sure, you know. So, but yeah,
Right.
I want to write a screenplay. I want to write a
Do
book, and I
it.
have a series in mind that I want to do. We should talk. Maybe we'll talk about that
We
later.
should
But
talk.
stuff like that.
Yes.
But
Do it.
what was it that you learned from working behind the camera that you didn't know as an actor?
I think it taught me more. It actually helped me a lot as an actor because, you know, now I know more about camera angles and the different shots. And it really helps actually. And understanding like behind what's going on and why there might be a delay or, you know, and lighting. It's very important to find your light, you know? So I don't know, it helped me numerous ways that I probably can't even, you know, it's just, yeah, it's amazing. I love directing. It was really fun. I still like acting the most, I would say, but I love directing too. It's also scary though, because and it was difficult because I was one of the only females on set. And because it was my first film, I think, and I was female, I hate to say it, I think some of the men did not trust me completely. So I had to battle for my gender as well as a director, I
Oh,
feel
that's
like.
yeah, that's
Do you
yeah,
know?
that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
My friend Neil's daughter,
Yeah.
um, Allie White, is director assistant. As a director, you have to go, okay, um, put a little bit more oomph in it. I'm thinking of you writing a musical, call it Mafia Princess, and it'd be like, give me your money, I'm the man. That'd be amazing.
I love it.
I would see Mafia the opera. No problem, as long as you're in
Let's
it.
do
Um,
it.
wow. So, what advice would you give to aspiring directors, actors, before we end this?
Yeah. Be yourself. Be unapologetically yourself. You're enough.
Hmm.
And that's a really big lesson to learn because we're always trying to please people.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that I don't try to be extremely friendly or kind or whatever, but you have to believe in yourself and you have, who's to say that your idea is not the next big great idea? You know what I mean? But also train. I think you can't just be, this egomaniac and say, well, my ideas are great. I think it has to be tempered. It has to be both. So learn, grow, network. I think networking is really important. Build your
Yeah.
tribe, build a tribe of people that you love and trust, that'll tell you the truth, that you can tell the truth to. Your ride or dies. Um, and just put yourself out there and don't be afraid and fail gloriously. Just do it because you have one life. That's all you got. So if there's a screenplay in you, Chris, that you got to do it. You know what I mean? It's like, and if it doesn't work out, well, then you tried it,
I know, I know.
Yeah.
But you're forgetting to say that, well, before you get
Mhm.
acting, you have to get a headshot, you have to get information, EPK, get everything set up. Because people are going to ask, who
Yeah,
is this,
of
Chris
course.
Robert guy? It's, oh, well, he's a podcaster. Okay, and does he
Yeah.
act? Well, have you seen that one podcast with Samantha LaCroix? It's acting right there. No.
I love
Um, oh, you mean Samantha? Oh, you mean the mafia boss? Oh my
it.
God.
Not your princess.
Uh-oh. I'm gonna wake up in the morning and and a package in the mail. Actually, we have the postal strike right now. That's right.
You guys
Um,
are, aren't you? Yeah.
yeah, like I want to not only write movies and scripts, but I want to direct them. Maybe not direct
Do
them, but
it.
more like writing them, and then
Mhm.
do an audition and just next I'm gonna see how you do this, how you do that. Like you have auditions as well,
Yeah.
so
I think you should do it, Chris. I think
I
there's
will.
nothing holding you back,
I
and
really appreciate that.
yeah, and I
Thank
think it's brilliant that you're doing this, and you bring people on and because that's it, right? You constantly learn from others. I'm learning from you. We all learn, and I think that's the biggest thing. Be a learner. Like just back to the advice part, which goes to me too. It's like never stop growing and take everything as a learning opportunity. And sometimes I'll be in a set and I'm like, okay, this is what I don't want to do. I have had a lot of experiences like that. And
Yeah.
directors were like, okay, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be like that. And then there's others that are like, oh my God, I want to be you.
Yeah,
You know,
I've
like,
I've actually had things in my life happen of being that you
mhm.
can't write this stuff because you watch these movies
Yep,
and shows, and you're like, oh yeah, that would never happen. Oh yeah, you want to know about today? So it does happen. So
it does.
you want to write it in, and I have a lot of things that happen in my life that I like to just put on script. I don't know who
Do
would play me, but I would definitely not have the person me, but someone else, maybe a girl experience this, whatever.
it.
So yeah, I want to do that, and I call it my company is called the Onstage Theater Company, but I
Okay.
also like Onstage Film Studio, sort of, and that's all it is in name. And it also includes my Onstage podcast as well. So at
It's
least
not
that's
a name,
working.
it's a
Almost at
dream.
300 episodes, actually.
Hey, that's huge. It's not just a name, it's a dream, it's your franchise.
Exactly.
I think put it in that's the other thing I've learned too. Real quick, I do audience work. So I've seen a lot of Steve Harvey. So I've been in his audience for both Family Feud and Judge Steve. And what he does is he gives a lot back to the audience and he gives us
Hmm.
advice. And actually, the vision board came from Steve Harvey, believe it or not. And he just talks to us. But he's like, frame it a different way. It's not just, a name. No, this is your franchise.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Samantha,
Yeah,
for sharing incredible journey and
thank you,
insights
Chris.
with us today. It's been
Thank you.
truly inspiring to hear about your diverse experiences, the passion you bring to the world of acting, directing, and music. Everyone, it will be linked down below, and
Cool.
you'll be able to hear the song. And also, best of luck with all your future projects. And thank you again for taking the time to speak to us. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Wait right there, Samantha.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
I want to help him.
Thank you. He's a good boy, you know.
What is the matter with you? What?
Calm down, Sophia. Can I?
I want you to have my money by Saturday night.
Mother! Sorry. The candle inside. I miss him, Mom. How'd you do it all these years without Pops?
He's right here in my heart. Every day.
I love French fries, I love sweet potatoes, baked potatoes, pasta, bread, garlic bread, rice.
So that you can walk into your purpose as the leader of this family.
I will.
피아니스트인 사만다는 특별한 유산균을 알게 되면서 체중 감량에 성공했다는데요. 살이 빠지고 건강을 회복하며 그녀의 집에는 웃음이 끊이지 않습니다.